Welcome back to Chats and Recaps. As always, my name is Sammy.
And I'm Mimi.
And today we're doing a recap. Now let's get to recapping. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you never miss an upload.
So welcome back to another Bachelor recap. Woo woo. And today we are going over the first ever seasons of The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. Today it was a 2-for-1 special.
Yes.
So the first Bachelor ever, aka Alex Mitchell, was the first Bachelorette that they ever had.
Bachelor.
And
although he did act like a
Alex
bachelorette.
Mitchell was the first ever Bachelor they ever had. My bad. I didn't mean to say Bachelorette. It was the first Bachelor we ever had. And man, were things different in 2002. Like, holy cow.
Thank God for today's fitted suits.
I know. Okay, so right, like first going into the episode when they started going into everything and Chris Harrison walked out in that suit and we were like, what in the world? I was like, I said, OMG, baby Chris Harrison. And then I started like ranting about how much I hated the way that suits were in 2020. It's like,
yes.
Could no one find a suit that fit them?
How suits were in 2000.
Yeah, in the 2000s.
You said 2020.
Oh. How suits were in the 2000s. It's like they were so extra baggy.
Yeah, it was like they were wearing their father's suits.
Yeah, that's what he said. He was like, I don't know what was going on there if I was wearing my father's suit. I was like, yeah, that's what it looked like.
Every guy looked that way.
I know.
All of them.
That was the thing in the 2000s, was wearing suits that were like overly big for you.
No, I just
and like
don't think
really
that
baggy
they did
pants.
fit
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, he said, I guess like tailors didn't exist then. But tailors have always existed. I don't know.
Yeah, but I think it was harder to get a tailored suit fitted to you. You had to specially order them and they were way more expensive.
Yeah.
Now they're doing more tailored fits and they're selling them more openly than having a tailor doing it for you. So.
Yeah. That was
like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Those suits.
Why?
That's okay, because your father has the same kind of suit still in the closet.
I know. So the mansion was obviously very different. They didn't have like the mansion that we know today yet. Mm-hmm. That was like their starting point. Mm-hmm. And I was like, could Chris Harrison be any more dramatic when he was talking to him? Like, he made such a big deal about like, hey, just so you know, it's not just you. Like, the girl could reject the rose, and in case you forgot, it's going to be on national television.
I know.
So just so you don't forget, the rose, you can offer the rose, but the girl has to accept the rose. Yes. If not, you will be embarrassed and humiliated forever, and everyone will see it on national TV and know that she was just not that into you. And I was like, okay, did it have to be like that serious about the rose? I was like, whoa, I've never seen them be so much on a Bachelor about a rose. But then again, it was the first season, so they like didn't know how everything was gonna play out yet.
Yeah, the bio was different too. Like how they showed his whole life story, and then his dad said a couple of words. Did they have hometown then?
I think so. That kind of confused me because there were parts where they were like showing the like him in his home and stuff like that. So I was like, I don't know if that was a hometown or if they just kind of like seamed it into before, because they didn't have structure back then.
I don't think
like they did today.
I don't think they did hometown.
But they had fantasy suite.
I think they had the fantasy suite. They had the day card. But what I think was they showed them where they lived, and it's like, hey, this is where I live. So
So that was like the hometown.
I guess that was the hometown.
But they weren't like meeting the family. I didn't see any families.
No, they didn't meet families.
Yeah. And then I was like, wow, that first of all, so dramatic about the rose. The mansion was different. The layout of the show was completely different because they were still figuring everything out. And I was like, wow, when the girls were stepping out of the limo, I was like, man, how times have changed with the looks of women. It was like, I kept feeling like, and when I was watching with Alvy, I was like, oh my God, why do I feel like I'm back in time to like season 1 of Charmed? Like, I feel like I'm in season 1 Charmed. Like, this is how all the women look. This is how all the men were. Like, the demons were wearing like those big suits and everything. Like, remember with Piper, the first guy she dated, he was wearing that big suit and had like the same look. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in Charmed. And then like there was this one girl who looked like a gypsy, and I was like, oh, that's the gypsy. And Trista gave me like Phoebe vibes.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah.
But we get into her later. And so for me, with the limos, coming out, the only people that stood out to me was the first girl who had the blonde hair, and then when she was talking about herself, she had curly hair because she reminded me of a gypsy, and then the trapeze girl.
I don't know.
And then the perfect girl who said she was perfect.
Oh, the girls that came out of the limo, which they focused more on the ones that were going towards the end, the ones that lasted longer. It was Kim, Shannon, Jill, Christina, Amanda, Lanice. Those were the main girls that came out of the limo.
Yeah.
Who had the curly hair?
I don't remember her name. I just know she had blonde hair. It was straight when she came out of the limo, but
Christina.
It was curly when she was talking.
Christina.
Yeah, I think so. And
because Shannon had short hair, Kim had dark hair, so it must have been Christina.
Maybe. And then I didn't realize that Trista was actually on the first ever season of The Bachelor.
Yeah, she sure was.
Yeah,
I didn't realize either. I was like, what?
Yeah, I was like, what? She's on the first season? It's not like how the show is now where it's like, The Bachelorette is usually from a previous season. But at that point, they hadn't had one yet. So
yep, she was from the first season and from the last two.
Yes. So. Yes. And let's see. Then they showed him like in the house kind of interacting with the women, which is so different from how they do it today. Like everything was in a group setting. He was talking to all of them at once, whereas now it's always focused on like stealing the guy. Like I'm going to talk to him one-on-one over here and I'm going to talk to him one over here. Like today, it made me realize how different like we see things on TV, because back then everything was just like real and organic and natural, and now it's like so many things are pushed for TV and cameras, and there's so many gimmicks. Like even getting out of the limos, there's like always a gimmick. So somebody's doing a gimmick. And back then they literally just got out the limo and they were like, hi, I'm so and so, see you inside. And now it's like there's so many gimmicks and stuff. I was like, whoa, this feels like too real and casual. Whereas when you watch it today, it's so like obviously TV.
Back then they did it plain and casual. Their budget was probably smaller. And
really,
this was
because
new.
they went to like Las Vegas and a private jet and all this stuff.
Those were all sponsors, and
it was ABC.
They didn't know how it was going to take off. Here we are 18 years later and they're still going strong. You
could tell how like how different things have changed in terms of reality TV, because people were so what's the word? It's a C word. Conservative.
Yes.
People were so conservative. Like he didn't even have his first kiss until way later in the season.
The first kiss
was and that happened. That was like on a one-on-one date or something, because he was alone with her. So
actually, it was a group date, and then he took her out on a one-on-one.
Something
remember
like
how they had the group dates, and then they would pick one girl to have their one-on-one with? So that's what it was. It was a group date, and then he had a one-on-one with her, and they rode the gondola. And as they were going, the guy on the bridge said, "Oh, as you're
Every
going
bridge,
under,
you have to kiss.
You have to kiss." And that's where they did the first bachelor kiss.
Yep. And then what happened? Oh, well, before all that, though, they showed like the first night, and then they went into the first rose ceremony. And I was just like, the rose ceremony felt like if I could have put that together myself in my living room. Like it's not, again, it's just not like how it is today. So it's so weird to see. And then he was giving out the roses, and it was just so kind of weird. Yeah, it was weird. And then
if he didn't give you a rose, please gather
I was
and
like,
say goodbye.
Chris hadn't come
cold.
Chris didn't come up with all his iconic stuff that he does today. So he didn't come up and he was like, Alex, ladies, is the final rose tonight.
No.
He didn't do that. He hadn't. No. I remember seeing an interview where he was talking about when the show was first coming about. So they were trying all these different things. So like in the season 1, instead of date cards, it was like a box, and they would put all these things for them to like try to figure out what the date was with like the card. And then it went from that to, they didn't show it when they were showing Trista's season, but her form of date cards were VHS tapes. So they would take a VHS tape and then they would play it, and then it would be like a video of her, and then she'd be like, this person, we're going out, and da-da-da, and she would do like a little video, and that's what the date card was at that time, until they turned into the traditional date cards that they do today. But that was interesting too. And they had a pet dog in the house, like for all the guys and stuff.
Yes, they did.
Yeah, that it said was named Goldie.
It
was a golden retriever named Goldie.
Somebody threw him in the pool.
Yeah, it was a golden retriever named Goldie.
The dog didn't jump in the pool. He was thrown in the pool.
He was like dragged
you gotta
in the
make
pool.
some kind of,
And then after they showed like the first rose ceremony and everything, and then they did a cutaway to Chris, and he was like, and people tell me that I haven't aged. And I was like, who's telling you that?
Yeah.
Like, clearly you've aged, but also he looks way better now.
I said, yes, Chris, you have aged.
That's what I wrote too. I said, yes, literally. I said, yes, you have aged, Chris. Come on. We both wrote the same. Wow. We both wrote the same thing. I was like, come on. Yes, you have.
Thing. I was like, after I wrote it, I looked at the TV and I was like, yes, you have.
That's the exact same thing
you
I did.
don't look bad. You don't. He still looks good.
No, he looks great.
But he looked like a little kid on the first season. He looked like a little kid who came out wearing his dad's suit.
Yep.
And he has such a baby face, like if he was 18.
I know. I was like, whoa, what is
now
that, like 30 years ago?
I know. Now he's like mature and he's aged very well.
Yeah.
So.
That's not a bad thing.
No, that's a good thing.
Then he showed the first ever Bachelor commercial.
I know.
I was like, at first I was like, what? Is ABC really starting to put commercials into the show? Like, how desperate are we during quarantine? And then I realized, oh wait, no, this is like The Bachelor. I was like, wait a minute, is this the first ever?
First commercial to
like,
air
really?
The Bachelor.
That is
and
so
they didn't
2000s.
expect anyone to watch it.
Yeah.
And they had I think he said over 2 million viewers that day.
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure because at that time everybody was tuning in because they're like, oh my God, like what?
I
25
know.
girls, one guy. This is so like controversial.
We gotta see this.
This
Gotta
is so
see
taboo.
This. Gotta see this.
Oh my God, how things have changed. And that's when I noted that he mentioned the show first aired in 2002. So that was the first season, was 2002. Yeah. So it's been 18 years of Bachelor.
But 2002 feels, when I was
like,
watching
like
it felt
so
like it was like
ago.
19.
Right?
Like 1982 instead of 2002.
It's because the style back then was so like, oh my God. There's so many things that I hated about 2000 style that I'm just looking back like, oh my God, I'm so glad that like people don't wear that stuff anymore.
No.
And I'm so glad that not every guy wears his hair like spiked at the top. That was such a thing back then, to like spike it in the front and stuff and spike it in the back. Everybody was trying to look like a Backstreet Boy.
Yeah.
Or a Spice Girl.
Yeah. No, and not only that, I was thinking, what if the first episode would have been like 1982 or 1986? Could you imagine the contestants and the guys?
They would never. It would be too taboo.
Oh my goodness.
Even in the 2000s.
Well, they had the dating game.
Some things were still considered. Yeah, but it was like, it's ABC. ABC is a family channel. So for them to air a show like that, it would have had to have like be tasteful.
And if I'm not mistaken, the dating game was at ABC.
I've never heard of the dating game, so I don't know.
Yeah, the dating game with Chuck Woolery.
I don't know. I've never seen that.
Chuck Woolery.
Never seen that.
And the 3 contestants were behind a screen, and then it would be a girl or a guy asking questions. And then she would make a choice of who the guy was going to be, or if it was a guy, he would make a choice of who the guy was going to be.
That was they couldn't see the person.
Game.
They
right.
just answer questions. Yeah,
Correct.
but that was in like
that was in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, but that was more, if you think about it, it's still like a more conservative approach because they're not they can't see each other. They're just asking each other questions.
Yes,
like
but
ABC,
the questions were sometimes very hot. Because
yeah,
I remember my mom
Feud.
saying, oh my gosh, they're allowing that kind of questions on TV.
See?
And then
but
when they did choose, they did kiss. So it wouldn't have been any difference.
It wasn't that serious. No, like Bachelor is like next level. They have fantasy suites and they probably wouldn't have had the fantasy suites back then. It's like skating, but it's like skating on thin ice with a show concept like that at the time. The world wouldn't have been as receptive to it.
Oh, and oh my gosh, when they were giving the first rose, the first rose went to Amanda. That is so weird. Yeah, it went to Amanda.
They didn't have first impression roses yet, so
no,
it was
didn't.
I was just whoever got the first rose in the ceremony to me was like the first impression rose. I don't know.
And then this girl Tina, who he was like, "Would you accept this rose?" And she
made
came
that
up
face.
and she was like,
Of course I will.
Of course I will. I was like,
what's that?
That's so weird.
I don't know. I'm trying to be funny. Everybody laughed. I don't know. Things were weird then.
Yeah.
And then the whole throughout like his season, they keep pointing out the first this, the first that, the first this. So the next thing, I don't know if you noted anything before this, the first steal.
Yes. It was the first date card. The first
first date card was a box.
The first private plane.
Mm-hmm.
The first group date. first steal.
Oh yeah,
which
the first
was,
steal.
Rhonda. Rhonda did the first steal.
Yeah, and all the girls were like, "Oh my god, she stole him! Like, can we do that?" And I was like, they weren't accustomed to doing any of this stuff yet because it was the first season. They were still figuring it out. So the girls were like, "Wait, what? You can do that?" It's like,
yeah, they called her.
What are the rules?
The aggressive one. She did the first steal.
They don't know what aggressive is yet.
I know, and she was the first one to say, "I'm not here to make friends. I'm here."
Yeah, that came later. She was like, the first, "I'm not here to make friends."
Yes. So she was the first aggressive, the
Go
first
down
to
in history.
steal. Lanice was the first kiss.
Mm-hmm.
First yacht date, first most dramatic rose ceremony because Rhonda didn't get her rose.
Yeah, she had a panic attack.
She had a panic attack. She thought she was having an asthma attack. They had to bring the ambulance. I've never seen any of the rose ceremonies ending that way. I think that
pretty
was
sure
the
it's not the
first
first
one.
time. Lots of times it happens. They say that's why I say it's the first most dramatic one, but like there have been many situations similar to that have happened in past seasons.
I mean,
but it's just like whatever.
They have dramatic exits and stuff, but to have an ambulance called
She's not the first. She's not the first. Well, she's the first, but she's definitely not the only person who's had a panic attack on the show.
Oh no, but I mean after
a rose
not getting a rose.
I don't know.
I think she's the first.
I can't remember
ever. She's like in the history book of The Bachelor.
Probably. I was like, at this point when she had the panic attack after the first rose ceremony and they got to have the dramatic moment with the fire truck, I was like, ABC know at this point when they were filming that they have hit some gold as far as it comes to drama. And then they did a catch up with Leanna and what's the other girl? Leanna and Rhonda. They did a catch up with Leanna and Rhonda at the same time.
Lanice and Rhonda, because Lanice was the first kiss and Rhonda was the first dramatic. She was the first aggressive. She was the first steal, and she was the most dramatic rose.
She was the first to say, "Not here to make friends." And then Chris made a big point how like it's said at every season now. Somebody says it, but she was the first person who ever did it. So they said she coined the phrase, and then she said something about Bachelor is the longest running show in history, and I was like, no, it's not. Not even close. It's like, hello, The Simpsons is the longest running show in TV history.
Like, no, and for her to sit there and say that, I know Chris must have thought,
yeah, he's like, I don't know where you've been, but I'm pretty sure the longest running show in history is The Simpsons.
Yes, they've been on the air for over 30 years.
More than that, I think.
Yeah,
it's like something crazy.
I remember when their episodes first started, it was on Saturday Night Live. It was a little clip, and they would show it like after. And that was like the early 80s, maybe. It started as a little clip. And then people started tuning in just to see that little clip. And lo and behold, there came The Simpsons.
It's been around for a long time.
It's been on the air ever since.
And it's still running.
So it's the longest running season of any show on TV besides
and then after
Saturday
that,
Night Live.
Yeah, and then after that would be some soap opera.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of soap operas that
have been running for
today.
years, like
since
way
the 60s.
more than The Bachelor.
Since the 60s and 70s, they've been running
for a very long time. The reason I keep calling her Leanna is because my phone autocorrected Lanice to Leanna. So every time I see her name, I keep saying Leanna.
Why does it do that? It's like, that's what happened to me the last time we was doing this.
But one thing about the catch-up part where they were talking to them, I thought it was so weird that Lanice said when he was asking her about her being the first kiss and how she felt about that, and she said it made her hot thinking about it. I was like, what? Okay.
Oh, man.
And then after the catch-up, they go into the whole relationship between Shannon and Alex.
Yeah, Shannon and Alex. She got a date card, told her to dress casual. He comes wearing a suit. She's like, oh my God, he said to dress casual. And I'm up here wearing, jeans and stuff. And he's wearing a suit. And they're like, don't worry about it. Just go. Just go. Now, today there might have been about 3 or 4 saying, don't worry about it. Just go. Just go. While the other ones are sitting and pouting and drinking wine. But back then there was more support because all them girls were like, you're fine. Just go. Just go.
They were a lot more friendly.
Yeah, they call themselves sorority girls.
Yeah, they said they're sorority sisters.
Except Shannon.
They're like, we're like sorority sisters, but also it's weird because we're all dating the same guy.
I know.
So usually sorority sisters don't all date the same guy. Like usually? So that means
Usually.
there's like a small percentage of sororities which do that. I don't know. Anyway, so one thing about their relationship was that she was very, 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 very conservative.
Too conservative.
Yeah, I was like, how is she gonna be on a show dating a guy that she doesn't want to open up about literally anything?
Nothing.
They had that like sex conversation in the limo where he asked her a question and she was like super
She
offended.
cut him off.
Yeah.
She was like,
she was like
That-
really, she was super
she was
offended.
worse than Madison.
Yeah, I'm like,
way worse than Madison.
How
At least
can
Madison
you-
kissed.
how can you date someone and never kiss them or have any open conversations about them? I mean, or about things in your life, like your sex life. And she wouldn't even get in front of him in a bathing suit. I was
No.
like, what is she doing on the show?
She's like, I don't kiss on the first date. And there are other rules, but she never made clear what those rules were.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't get in the hot tub. She wouldn't take off her robe. And she definitely said what he can do with that fantasy suite, pretty much. Yeah, she was, I think you were going to say,
I was
yeah,
like,
she was very conservative.
Yeah, she was really conservative. Probably, definitely not made for a bachelor setting. But at the same time, I can't blame her for the fantasy suite, like for the apprehension she had regarding the fantasy suite.
Yeah.
Because it was the first season and there was like no rules, there was no layout, there were no expectations yet. Because earlier you were like comparing her to like Madison, like, oh, not even Madison was that bad. But we're talking about somebody who is like entering the franchise years after it's been established what the expectations are. So
That's
she didn't really
true.
know what the expectations were. And so I can't blame her for the apprehension she had about the fantasy suite.
Right.
And as there was like no layout, no rules or anything or what to expect yet. So
Right. And I definitely wasn't. It's just what she said when she was like, when he gave her the card and he's, you know how the card said, you know, if you want to forgo your rooms, please use the key and use the fantasy suite. And after she read it, she's like, well, as I was reading it, all I kept thinking about was you being with the other girls in the fantasy suite.
Yeah.
Duh. You're on The Bachelor.
Mhm.
You're the final three.
That's true.
So of course. Now, I mean, I could understand her telling him, listen, my beliefs and how I am, I don't want to go to the fantasy suite, but she was like all huffy puffy, almost demanding, kind of like Madison kind of did to Peter when she was kind of demanding him not to.
That's I'm like, there's nothing wrong with having your beliefs and your like quote unquote rules for your relationship. But when you exert them in a situation like this is where it's kind of like a little bit of gray area.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like she had no rights to tell him pretty much like if you want to continue with it's kind of the same that Madison
like
did.
an ultimatum.
She kind of gave him like the ultimatum, like if you're gonna spend the fantasy suite with them, then what am I still doing here? Because my beliefs I don't believe in that.
Right.
I don't believe in the first date. I have these rules, blah blah blah. Even though she never told him what the rules were. And then when he didn't pick her, he was gonna sit. He sat on the bench, and she was like, "Okay, like okay,
yeah,
bye."
that's like awkward.
And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" He stood back up, and then she's like, "Okay, bye," and she walks away. Then she comes back, and she's like, "Why? Why are you sending me home?"
I'm just
like,
curious. Why?
Just curious why. And he's like, "Well, I don't want to keep hurting you or keeping you in a situation that you're not obviously you're not comfortable with it,
Right.
So why keep you here?
That's
I might
true.
as well, just send you home."
She made that clear. That
And then she's like, "He's so weak." How is he weak? I don't think there
know.
was a real connection there anyway.
I guess like her idea of whatever that means.
Well, today she's married. She has 2 kids. But her husband wants to visit the Bachelor Mansion.
I thought that was so weird. I was like,
she's like a big fan of The Bachelor.
Well, let's take advantage of the fact that we're doing this interview right now and we want to come see the mansion.
I know. And he's like, "Well, you're
not the
part of
kids.
history. You're part of Bachelor history. You're always
Yeah.
welcome at the mansion."
That's true.
So
Although it was a different mansion, so that's why she wants to see it. She wants to see like the probably what it is today mansion, because it was not what she went
what
into.
What it is today was not what it was yesterday.
It's certainly
I tell you
not.
that.
Well, that was, it was like 18 years ago yesterday. Very different.
Today, that mansion is...
I only know the mansion as we've seen it today.
Yeah, that mansion is awesome today.
Okay, so after Shannon, then they went into the Amanda and Alex. And there was a part where Amanda shared a story about her father passing in his sleep with a heart attack.
Oh my God.
I mean, at least I feel like it was implied that he passed in his sleep.
Well, what she said was, I was 11 years old. I went to sleep. And while I was sleeping, my father died of a heart
Well,
attack.
she said that he was sleeping and he had a heart attack.
So he died when she was 11 years old.
Yeah, and how it was hard for her.
Yeah, how it was hard for her. But how Alex reacted to it, I was like...
When he asked how old he was, I was like, it doesn't matter how old he was. Like, shouldn't your, like, my first reaction would probably be like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. 11 years old and you're
like,
going through that. I'm so
awkward.
sorry.
He was like,
it looked like he was about to say, more wine.
Right. It's like
how do I react?
His reaction was a little weird because he said, oh, how old was he? I was like, really? She just told you that her father passed in his sleep with a heart attack. And your first thing is, oh, how old was he?
And she was 11.
My first thing would be like, no matter how old he is or how old you are, like, you lost a parent. Wouldn't your first reaction be a little more sympathetic? I don't know. But it's fine. When they were showing like the montage of him and her and their relationship, it was obvious that he was very smitten with her. I felt like it was more sexual chemistry than anything else.
Yeah, so did I.
And there are a lot, I noticed in the recap of his season, there were a lot of conversations that happened in the limos. Like, that doesn't happen today.
Yeah, there was a lot of conversations in the limo. I feel like there was a lot more conversations back then than there is now. I feel like they had more time on their one-on-ones than they do now.
Yeah, they have more real conversations.
Yeah, so now it's more like rush, 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 move, move, move. We got to get these dates in. But it was like he really took his time with each person.
Yeah.
With especially the main ones that were towards the end.
Yeah. Then they showed a part of a date they had where they were making out, and then the woman walked into the room to serve them food or something, and
Japanese
she was just
restaurant.
like looking at them, and I was like,
they were rolling
first of
on
all,
the
she
floor.
looked like she was really mad. Like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, really, really? Like, she wanted to leave, then she wanted to come in. She wanted to leave, she wanted to come in. Like, oh, come in. And awkward, really awkward. And then they showed like the fantasy suite that they had where obviously they both said yes. They were rushing to get in there because, again, like I said, I feel like it was a lot of sexual chemistry more than anything else.
Oh, more than anything else. I mean, from the moment he set his eyes on her, come on. They weren't on her face. They were on her boobs.
Yeah.
Like, really, come on.
I feel like. And then I was like, whoa, fantasy suites, totally nowhere near as bougie as they are today.
Yeah, because when they had conversations, they weren't real conversations. Like, she was trying to be deep and real, and he was more like, I want to make out with you type thing. Like, I just want to touch you. And so it was weird that she started talking about her ex-husband in the limo. And then right after her ex-husband, she's like, her lingerie collection. And her Wonder Woman costume that she wears around the house on a daily basis.
Sure you do.
So
that sounds like something you say just to sound like attractive to somebody, but not something you really do.
Yeah, that sounds like something you would chat in a chat room somewhere, talking to some weird guy who's, like giving you like weird things back, and you're just back and forth.
Are these conversations she just had on AIM?
Yeah.
Oh my God, AIM. And then I was like, oh my God, the fantasy suite. Did you see they had a camera like in the bedroom, and they were showing like everything. I was like, what the heck? Back then they had cameras in there like recording the whole thing. How awkward. That's disturbing. I would not do that. I do not consent.
It kind of like I said, where that show, The Real, where they're kind of mimicking The Bachelor.
Oh, yeah.
They did the same thing. They had cameras in the suites.
Even though they told them there weren't?
Yes. Well, even though they told them they weren't running.
Yeah, they were.
Sure they were.
I don't know. That part was weird to me. And then they went into Trista and Alex. And Trista, I notated, is Miss Smiley. Like, she's always smiling. She's always got a big smile on her face, which is funny because she's also the most guarded person. So she's like the most smiley, but the most hidden. Not like hidden, but like guarded.
She kept a lot to herself.
And then they had a cooking dinner date where he was like cooking her food.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? This is such like a normal date.
Yes,
I would never expect to see this.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not used to stuff like this in the current Bachelor world.
It's funny because I was part of the viewing audience when they first aired the first Bachelor, but I don't remember none of this.
It was so long ago.
I don't remember a lot of it. Like if I never watched it.
Yeah, I never watched it. Trista in the date he had when they were eating and he was like opening up his heart to her and everything and how much he liked her and she's like, this is really good. I was like, oh, that's like the genius way of trying to say like, hey,
smudge
PS
it.
and so like not.
It's like I don't want to
to
talk about this.
It's
He's like,
I
I have a huge crush on you and you make me so nervous. And she's just like,
oh my God, this food is so good. Wow. You made this yourself? So impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, wow, this food is
Yeah.
really
And then
good.
she starts to talk about how she's guarded and all that stuff. And throughout the whole relationship, she was just really brutally honest. And like they showed clips here and there. Like she had the conversation where she says she's not in the same place he is. And then he was like, oh, well, at least, she's brutally honest with me, whether it's what I want to hear or not, or in the same place as me, at least she's being truthful. And then they had the date where he was on the helicopter and he said he needed her to show something, like to show how she feels, at least if she's not saying it. And then I guess he got what he wanted because he was vomiting in the helicopter and she was very like caring towards him in that situation.
And then another thing, when Alex was asking her like, how do you feel? I love what she said. She's like, I am in like, but not in love.
Yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was being honest.
Yes.
It's like, I like you, but I'm not going to tell you things
that aren't true
just to get up there or just to get that ring.
Right.
I
think that's why he liked her.
Yes. And I think, like he said, she scared me. She kind of like, I think she intimidated him a little bit because she was just too strong of a woman for him.
Yeah.
He was, I think, I don't know. When they showed his bio, he was the kid who the hot girls didn't want. Now he has these 15 women slobbering all over him. I think it was more of a, I love all these women all over me, than I'm looking for someone who's going to marry me.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
But also, after watching like her parts in his season, I can see why people really liked her from his season and why they picked her.
Yeah. Yeah, she kept true to herself and she kept true to the whole thing. So,
yeah, but it was like weird in the fantasy suite when she was talking to him and she asked him like, what would you do if you had to pick today or something like that? And he said that he would probably pick her.
And I think he only said that just to spend the night with her.
You think?
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah,
that was kind of messed up. He should have just not said anything.
She was marriage material, but she's a little more conservative. She stands on her own. She knows who she is. She knows what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
And that scared the living daylights out of him. He can't be with a woman that strong because she would have him in his place all the time.
Probably. After that, they went to the final rose ceremony, which was her waiting there for him. And then he walked up to her and then he started talking like what sounded like would-be proposal. And then he was like, but unfortunately not with you.
Yeah.
And then obviously he picked Amanda, but he didn't propose, but he showed her the ring. And I was like, who does that? Like, who picks a ring and then gives this speech and then makes it look like you're going to propose and then shows him the ring and then like, oh, by the way, but I'm not actually giving you this ring. I just got the ring and I just want to make sure that we can survive in the real world. And, basically like putting it in her face, like this could come later, but not today.
He's like, this is the ring. Look at it, but I'm not giving it to you.
Who does that?
Like, what the heck?
Like he should have just not picked the ring and just been like, hey, I want to give you my final rose and I just want to see how things go. I don't feel like we're in a place where I can propose yet, but to show the ring and then say that you're not going to propose. I was like, first of all, you should never do that. I feel like that's bad luck. Like when I saw him do it, I was like, that's bad luck to show a proposal, like an engagement ring and then not propose.
Oh, that's why.
And sure enough, they didn't last. Yeah, they didn't
Mm-hmm.
last.
They did not last at all. To accept to move with him, I don't know if I would have done that. I would have been like,
if he did that to me, I would be like, goodbye. I would have said, I'm wifey material. If you're not ready to wife up, then I'm gonna leave.
Exactly.
Peace out.
Exactly. And Trista knew he was right when he said, that they're just not right for each other.
Yeah.
She knew he was right. I mean, she was upset. She gave a lot of herself to him, probably in the fantasy suite. But she kind of deep down inside knew he was right.
Yeah.
They weren't for each other. They weren't.
It's okay because she
met
got
Ryan.
She got her guy. So everything ended up perfectly fine. So then they did a catch up with Amanda. And the only thing I gathered from that was that basically she's always wanted to be a celebrity and she eats up anything that has to do with people recognizing her. Blah, blah, blah.
Which is probably why she was on The Bachelor.
Maybe. I don't know.
The publicity. Well, she has a 10-year-old daughter and she has a degree in something about medical.
She does
I forgot
dental.
to write.
I think she does something with
it's like
dental.
Cosmetic dental or something
cosmetic
like
surgery or something like that. Like maybe she
something
does veneers or something.
Probably.
I don't know. Something like that.
Still got big boobs.
Yeah, but she like, I don't know. I just got to her that she's a...
I know she said she moved with him to his place. Which the way she was saying it, I mean, she didn't say it, but the way she was saying it was like a big regret because nothing worked out. She couldn't find work. And then she finally got something back in Kansas. She went to Kansas and they did the long distance relationship, but then that didn't last.
Maybe there were jobs that she wanted to do and he was like not comfortable with her doing.
Yeah. Probably. Well, she was on a radio station.
I mean, I get it's implied. I don't know. She didn't. There wasn't really a whole lot said. And then the next thing, they went into Demi and Nicole doing fashion digs on stuff from the 2000s.
Which was so hard on Alex.
I know. Actually, the very first one they showed when he first stepped out of the limo, he was wearing like a black shirt and then like black pants and then the bigger
it was
coat.
like a gray.
I didn't mind that look as much as I minded
how
all
big
the other looks with just the
was.
really large. Like that look, I'm not that mad at because he has like the black underneath. So the back is like slimming with the oversized jacket over. It doesn't really look bad. But when you're wearing a suit and everything is oversized, you just look like it don't fit you like you're a child. That's when I don't like it. But that specific look didn't bother me. There's other looks that bothered me, but that one didn't really bother me.
And then when they was talking about Rhonda's coat, Demi was
zebra?
like, Demi was like, that was horrible. I don't know if it's a robe, a jacket, whatever.
That it would make a good carpet.
Nicole was like, I loved it because in a sea of black coats, you need to wear zebra.
Yeah, be the zebra.
Gotta be the zebra.
Well, makes you stand out.
Yep. And then, of course, they talked about Chris' suit. So
yeah, the baby Chris in his dad's suit.
Yeah. So then Trista's season began.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Did nobody catch, do you not catch after they showed him in like the suit, the really bad picture of his outfit? And then he was like, whoever showed that picture is fired. And I was like, boom, proven. I knew your son wasn't running everything. You didn't catch that? Like, hello, who else would have put it?
Yeah,
I feel like he would have made a joke towards his son.
It could have just been him being funny towards his son.
I
like,
think
you're
he made
fired.
a mistake. No, I think that it's proven now that his son is not in fact running everything, because otherwise he would have taken the opportunity to show his son's face like he does every 5 seconds when he can mention that his son is running the equipment.
I don't know.
Anyways, moving on, they went to the first ever Bachelorette, which, by the way, what the heck, ABC? You spent like an hour and something on Alex and like irrelevant things to just breeze through Trista's season. What was that about? And then
I don't know. It still shows today sexism.
Right? I was like, what the heck?
Still going on today.
ABC, your sexism is showing.
Yep.
And then there was another different mansion in this one. So I was like, another different place. But it was like a step up from before. And then I was like, oh, thank goodness. Chris is wearing like a suit that fits him better. Yes. Thank the Lord.
The guys wore better suits.
Yeah, I said, I literally noted, looks like men are finally starting to wear suits that fit a little bit better, but there's still room for improvement.
Yes. Which now today, there's a lot of improvement. So with Trisha's season, the guys that jumped out.
Trista.
And I'm sorry. Trista.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her, isn't that her name, Trista?
Yes. I sound like you said Trisha.
No, Trista's season. It is the ones who came out the limo and they focused on was Jamie, Greg, Bob, Russ, who gave her a little blue box, Ryan, who said, "You look ravishing," Charlie, and of course Russ gave her a little Tiffany bracelet.
Yeah, I called him the Tiffany's guy.
Yeah,
he's Tiffany's guy, and then the other guy is ravishing guy.
He gave her a princess bracelet.
Yeah, I don't know. To me, if you come out of the limo, the first thing you're going to give me is a fancy bracelet, then I'm going to question you right off the bat, like immediately. If the first impression you want me to have of you is that you give me shiny things, I'm not impressed.
Well, she was, because he stuck around for a while. Definitely, she was very sexually attracted to Charlie. He gave her a card.
Yes. Again, same thing. They hadn't gone into those crazy intros yet where they do crazy gimmicks. But just note that we have now stepped into season 4 of Charmed, where we've stepped up on the looks. We're starting to get a little bit closer to where we're at today. Just a little bit.
Yeah. And of course, the first rose ceremony, notice Ryan got the first rose.
Ryan got the first rose.
Just like with Alex and Amanda.
I noted
Ryan
that's true.
And
I noted that there was no first impression rose again. So to me, Ryan was the first impression rose because he got the first rose in the first rose ceremony. And Trista looked like a lot of fun in this season. And they got to go to Vegas. Again.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Trip. When they was in Vegas, that Russ was talking to her, he was like, "Oh, I feel like this huge connection with you. I feel like I can finish all of your sentences. Like I know what you're thinking. Yeah. And I can just literally sit there and just finish what you're going to say." And she's like, "Yes, that's why I keep telling you to shut up." I have 15 other guys here that are just as interesting and just as interested in me. So I have to give everybody a chance. I was like, wow. That's she put him in his place. I was like, whoa. She's like, I have 15 other guys here. But she was like, yes, that's why I keep telling you to shut up.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was hilarious.
That was on the rooftop.
Yeah.
And
then he kissed her.
Mm-hmm. And they went and dived into Greg and Trista's relationship, which Greg was the musician. And there was a lot of her just being really giddy over him, like how some people tend to be around musicians. They're just like, oh my God, musicians. They're so like artsy souls. And he's always like singing to me and he can play the guitar and he's like writing songs for me. Like, oh my God, like the fangirl. And then I was like, guess what? He's a musician and he's not a musician who's made it yet. Yeah. So anyone who knows anything about musicians, especially ones that are working and trying to be noticed and they're still working on their big break, knows that they live in like probably their car or they're jumping home to home, or they literally live in like
somebody's
the smallest
garage
space that someone was able to give to them. Like that's what musicians are. And it's funny because she's like so giddy in the musician thing, and then it's like, hi, welcome to reality. Like this is how musicians live. Like
this
actually
is my home.
Actually his home compared to
where's your bedroom? He's like right there.
Yeah, he had like a
studio. In the living room. She's like, oh, so this is like a studio? And he's like,
I was like, he's a musician. What do you expect?
And then he's like, would you like some water? She's like, no, I want some water.
He's a musician. What do you expect? Honestly, I was a little bit more impressed with him because he actually had like an apartment. I mean, that's a lot for musicians.
She's like, what is that on the door? Oh, that's just for the bounce back when he's recording.
Yeah, so actually,
and did you notice his nasty stained towel?
Yeah,
like hide that.
That apartment was a mess.
Hide it. And then he was literally digging for a cup, like digging.
I know.
And then he gave her sink water. I was like, oh my God.
Well, let's be honest. He probably doesn't spend a lot of time there.
Ooh.
He probably spends most of his time out trying to work gigs, trying to get work, and the only time he probably spends there is sleeping and if he's recording something in his home. That's probably it.
Trista was like, hell no. She sat there contemplating like, he's sexy and everything, but hell no.
Yeah. He's like, welcome to
hell
reality.
To the no.
Welcome to reality. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. I was like, I wouldn't have expected anything less.
I'm sorry, but a person who's made it rarely wants to be with someone who's just starting.
Yeah.
I mean, you would have to be head over heels with your head up their ass to take them in and mold them and take care of them and support them.
Yep.
But like I said, Trista has always been a strong woman. She's not going to support nobody. She needs someone equal to her.
That's why after that, she was kind of just like, yeah, this is definitely not going to work. She was like, I'm trying not to be like judgmental or anything.
But no.
But yeah. There's nothing wrong with, I mean,
he needs a sugar mama.
She's not like judging him as a person, but she's judging him as like a life partner.
Exactly.
So you have to be a little bit,
she's like, I'm sorry, I'm not being his sugar mama. I made it. I can't be your sugar mama.
Yeah.
You need to find somebody else.
That's okay.
Who's either at your level or who's willing to support you, because that's not me.
Yeah, she'd have to be like really in love with him, like
with
for
that
him to
face,
be the one for that. Yeah, she was not having it.
I was
That's
like,
kind of funny.
She was probably wondering, when the heck am I leaving out of here? I would have ended the date.
Yeah, she was trying to give him a chance. And then after that, they did a Cassie catch up, which I was like, could you have wasted like
Cassie
any more time ever to have this interview where she talked about nothing? And we learned nothing.
Nothing. I can't talk about the breakup. Oh, I understand you don't want to upset Colton.
Why are you here?
I just want to respect him. So why are you here?
Right? Why are you here? What was the point of this interview?
And this is what I wrote. She looks like a Kardashian.
Waste of time. I don't know.
She looks like a Kardashian just sitting there.
What was the point? So you could get some more TV time?
Wasted air.
But not talk about anything? What a waste.
Wasted air.
Anyways, moving on.
The final
so Charlie
two.
And Trista. She said she had an immediate connection with him right out of the limo. And the next big thing I noted was that he shared a cheater story with her, that he was in a relationship in the past where she cheated on him. And that was something that resonated with Trista because she also was cheated on in a past relationship. So that was something that they both shared. And then they had a date where, I don't know if this was the fantasy suite date.
I think
they were having a dinner and her hair was up in this really, really elaborate updo. And she was wearing like a red dress.
I think it was a fantasy suite. But the way she told him was, I would like to invite you back to my hotel room.
Maybe it was before that. I'm not sure.
I don't know. But
I think that might have been before the fantasy suite.
I'm not
sure.
She's like, I invited him back to my hotel room because I wanted to get to know him more. And as they were walking to the hotel room, I was like, is she carrying a pack of condoms? It looked like she took some condoms out of
I'm sure it's probably not what it was.
And it was like blue and shiny. And then I was like, I hope that's the key card to the hotel room.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think that could be what it was.
Walking with some condoms.
I think it was a key card, but...
It probably was a key card. But at the moment, it looked like a pack of condoms she was walking with. It looked like 2 little packs that she was holding.
I don't think it was.
And then I thought, nah, that can't be condoms.
I highly doubt it. And because usually they're really discreet with that kind of stuff. And
yeah,
she had this like crazy updo that was so elaborate and intense. And I was like, I'm not mad about it. I just want to know how they got it to be that way. Like
that's how it used to be.
That was crazy.
That's how it used to be. Like prom girls and everything during that time had those hairdos.
Yeah.
Prom girls, brides.
The only thing about
a lot of teasing and rollers.
Yeah. They had a conversation in the limo where he kind of brought up like his past issues again, like in relationships and stuff, and about her having like fantasy suite with Ryan or something like that.
Yes.
And she had a very like open, straightforward conversation with him. Like, you know, when I'm with you, I'm thinking about you. When I'm with him, I'm thinking about him. I'm not going to take away from the time spending with you worrying about like what Ryan's going to think. And I'm not going to be spending my time with Ryan worrying about what you're going to think. Yeah, or what you're thinking about.
Because he kind of started saying the same thing. Like,
yeah,
throwing down like, oh, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. And she's like, well, you need to more concentrate on me. Remember, this is a bachelor thing. So she has to get to know each of them differently and singly, and if it's going to be intimate, it's going to be intimate, and he needs to respect that regardless. Like she said, I'm not a virgin. I've had sex before. Sex is an intimate thing for me. It's something that you share with someone who's very intimate with you, and she shouldn't be judged if she chooses to sleep with both of them or with one. True. And pretty much I love the way she said that to him, and he was like, wow, I'm so sorry, like you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, don't come here putting ultimatums on me.
The only thing I don't like is how he approached the conversation, because he introduced the conversation about like what she does with Ryan, like alluding to his past, like his relationships and stuff like that. Like because I was cheated on in the past, it kind of makes me feel like this. I'm like, I hate when people do that.
Well, then you shouldn't be on The Bachelorette.
I hate when people use baggage from previous relationships and try to attach it to a current relationship. It's like, that was your past. You need to get over it. If you're not moved on, then you shouldn't be dating.
That's right.
Because whoever your future partner is should not be paying for a mistake that a past partner made. You should not do that.
First off, you don't compare your past to your present. Secondly, you don't talk about your past. There's a reason why they're called exes, and that's because they exited out of your life and they need to exit out of your mind. Exactly. Yes, you learn from those experiences, you grow from those experiences, and you move on being a better person. But to bring that old baggage and comparisons and what happened to you then to your new relationships means you're not over that other relationship, and you need to get over it. Exactly. And I couldn't be with a person who, first off, talks about their ex too much to the extent where they start comparing me or the relationship to the ex.
That's not cool.
So I couldn't do it.
Yeah. I was like, I hate when people do that. I would never go into like my current relationship and ever use anything that happened in my past relationship to compare to my current. They're two different relationships. You need to keep them separate.
This is how it would go.
They're not involved.
So you've had boyfriends in the past? Yeah. And how were those relationships in the past? They're my exes.
They're over.
That's what they are. It's over and done. I don't even think about them. Nothing to tell. Moving on.
Yeah. So that was what happened with them. At least that's what they showed up to. And then they started showing Ryan and Trista. Yes. Which Ryan was the first rose guy. To me, he's the first impression rose, even though there wasn't a first impression rose yet. But she gave him the first one. So
Mr. Poetic.
That was first. I thought it was cute when he did the little poem. And then she actually cried when he was reading her the poem. I was like, what? Trista's crying at a poem?
I know. What? It touched
I was like, something must be, there must be something there. And then I was like, to me, at this point with the whole poem stuff, I was like, it's very clear to me that she has a thing for guys who are artistic. She has a thing for guys who are like poetic, artsy, like really romantic type souls, because her top 3 guys were like guys that were romantic, artsy.
Well, if a person has some artsy in them, what's not to be romantic, as long as it's not like their main thing, unless they're already successful in it. Yeah. But it's nice to have that. Nice to have that. He was poetic. He was romantic. I love when he said, I'm not falling in love. I am submerged in it. I was like, oh my God, soulmate material.
The way that he said it. I was like, they showed obviously that they had a very passionate connection with each other, both physically and emotionally. And the I was like, fantasy suites this time, because they showed her room with him and everything. I was like, oh, step up from season 1 of Bachelor.
Big step up.
I was like, girl, aren't you glad that he dumped you so that you could have your own season where everything is like way better? And you get to date guys who wear suits that fit.
She actually married her soulmate.
I know.
She found the guy who she's been looking for.
Also, step up on the final rose ceremony site. Yes. It was very nice.
And so romantic.
I know.
My God.
The way they did the
had
petals.
The rose petals, the candles.
It was nice.
So warm and romantic. It didn't fit the part where she's like, I'm sorry, but I have to follow my heart. and it's with someone else. I was
like, how when Charlie came up and she was talking to him and everything, and she was saying all these things, and you saw how he was smiling so hard, like he really thought that she was about to be like, and I love you and you're my soulmate, and then he was like, and she's like, unfortunately my heart's with somebody else. And then I was like, well, at least he handled it like very gentlemanly. He was very gentlemanly about it. He wasn't like rude. He wasn't being a jerk to her or anything. He was very nice, and he was very gentlemanly about it and handled it like a champ. And I commend him for that. Even when he was leaving, I was like, if only more people thought like the way that he did. He was like, well, you know, it is what it is, and he'll find the woman out there and everything. And
he's like, well, I just hope you're happy.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I commend him for that. And then they did a little catch up with him. The only thing that bothered me was when he was referring back to the season, he kept using the word win.
Yeah. Like,
it's like,
win.
oh yeah, like if I won, if I would have won.
I didn't know it was a game.
Like, right?
I thought it was finding your soulmate or finding,
don't you mean if she had picked you, if you had ended up together, like those would probably be more suitable words than to say win.
Did you also notice that his wife kind of looks similar to Trista?
No.
She kind of looked like a mixture of Trista and Amanda.
I don't know.
From the first Bachelor. Like if you put them together, they would create her.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because she looks so, I guess that's his type.
Maybe. They showed that he has a family now. He has a daughter.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, everybody really is starting their families late. Like, what the heck? He's in his 40s, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he in his 40s,
they're in their 40s.
Yeah, they're in their 40s, and they have a baby.
A 1-year-old.
And I was like, what?
Yeah.
People really having babies in their 40s.
Yep. 40s and 50s.
And then they showed the proposal where Ryan proposed to Trisha. And I was like, he looked like he was quaking in his boots the whole time.
Now, I don't know about you. I mean, Trista, everyone is, I guess, different. It just freaks me out when a woman starts telling me, or I start hearing a woman saying that she's been dreaming of getting married since she's a little girl. I never dreamt of getting married when I was a little girl. I dreamt of being a singer, an actress, a fairy. I had those kind of dreams. I never dreamt with wedding dresses, husbands, kids. Never. I had baby dolls, and I used to just throw them to the side. I played. I don't know. Those were my dreams.
Everybody is different. And I know there's many, many women out there who would say that since they were a little girl, they dreamed about getting married and all this stuff. And I was like,
they even drew like their wedding dresses.
Yeah, like they had their weddings planned. I don't know. I remember I said for the longest time that I wasn't even going to get married.
Me too.
So
I said the same thing.
I
said,
like
I'm never getting married. I'm not having kids. And then I got married and I had 2 kids and 5 grandbabies.
Yeah.
So.
And every time people would bring up stuff about even like, girls are always so obsessed about having someone to date and stuff like that or whatever. I was like, I don't care.
Not me either.
What does it matter?
If it happened,
why do I need someone to hold me down?
To me, if it happened, it happened. And if it didn't, I wasn't never looking for it. It wasn't something that I dreamt. I had other dreams than to be married and have a family. So I don't know.
To each his own. I mean, to some people, their
she
dream
looked like
is...
She looked like she would have been this little girl doing pretend weddings, and she's like, that's gonna be my future husband, blah blah blah. You know how they show in those movies where they have these little pretend weddings and they marry their little friends.
Yeah, so, I don't know. That was not
I could see her doing that.
That wasn't me. I didn't start thinking about those things or caring about those things until I met my wife. So
yeah, that's what it is. Once you meet that person, they make you change.
That's true.
I didn't want to get married, and then I met the right person, and then I started thinking about marriage and family.
Yeah.
So
true. And they referred to Ryan's proposal as like the most romantic proposal ever. I was like, I thought it was cute.
He was very nervous.
Yeah.
Very nervous.
That's why I said he was quaking in his boots the whole time.
Yeah.
He was like super nervous.
And it was like he was stumbling over trying to get his words and then she's looking at him like, are you going to tell me now? Are you not going to? She had like a little worry in her eyes for a few seconds. Like, where's this man who knew how to write poetry and everything? Is he trying to tell me no? He doesn't want me?
Did I make
Especially
the wrong choice?
after she said, now I can finally tell you that I'm in love with you. And then he was like, oh, thank you. And she's like, kind of looked at, I know, she kind of looked at him and was like, she was confused. She had a confused look until he started like saying, you know, I'm more than in love with you. I'm submerged in it. And then she was like, oh, he loves me.
Right.
And then it was like she released her breath and then.
Yeah, I feel like she was waiting for him to return it when she said it. It was like, he said thank you. I was like, who says thank you when somebody says I love you? That's what you say usually when you're trying to not. It brought me back to listen to your heart when Rudy was like opening her heart to him and he was like, thank you for being so brave and sharing how you feel. It's like, dude, what the hell?
Or like when, what's his name? Greg? Was it Greg when... No, not Greg, because Greg was the musician who was living in that little matchbox. Which,
in the matchbox.
Update, he did move out and get a bigger place.
Yeah.
No, the guy that took her and made her dinner. Who was that? Charlie?
Oh, that was Alex, the first Bachelor. Alex, the first Bachelor.
When he was with Trista,
and he was telling her how much he liked her and stuff, and she was like,
"Yeah," and she went, "Aw, this is really great."
But milk's delicious.
So it was like the same thing. It's like, oh, thank you. Mwah. Can I get a kiss? Mwah.
Right? That was awkward.
And then he was like, okay. And then he just stumbled over all his words. And I was like, and she was looking at him like, should I be smiling? Should I be like,
this is
what
good.
the heck? I don't know how to react.
Yeah, but obviously he proposed to her. They got engaged and then they were being all cute and stuff. And then they showed their wedding.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I would be so pissed if I was them because there was literally the loudest helicopter ever going through every part where they were speaking their vows to each other. There was this loud helicopter just blaring over them. And then it was like every time they stopped talking, the helicopter got quiet. I was like, yo, I would be so mad if that was like my wedding recorded and I had to hear a freaking helicopter blaring over the whole freaking ceremony. That would have made me so mad.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was actually really cute. And it was a really pretty setup. And obviously, what is most important is that their relationship is still working. They're still together. Mm-hmm. They have a family.
Yeah.
And she talked a little bit about being the first Bachelorette and some of the judgments and stuff that she got. And some woman had asked her, how is she going to not look like a floozy?
No, she said, how are you going to conduct yourself so you don't look like a floozy?
And she's like, what kind of question is that?
That is so sexist.
It is. Like, was anybody asking Alex, hey, Alex, how are you not going to look like a floozy with all those women? Like, really?
It's always a double standard. Always.
Yep. I was like, man, she must have went through a lot being the first Bachelorette. I can't imagine the type of things people were saying to her. And that was back in the 2000s. And people still get it today. And we have, so they say advanced so far. Mm-hmm. But imagine being like the first Bachelorette ever. She probably got a lot for that.
Well,
a lot of judgment.
The thing is, we may keep advancing, but women are still thought of in the same way. That doesn't change. We always have to look at our image, have to conduct ourselves properly, keep your legs crossed, keep this, keep that. I'm so sick of it. I'm so sick of a man being able to go and do whatever they want to do and nobody gossips about them. But the minute a girl tries to do anything that a guy tries to do, then they're like the most talked. It's a controversy.
I know, right? Remember Caitlin's season, the most controversial season ever? Because she was with a guy before the fantasy suite. It's like, please, like,
who cares?
It's happened. The crazy thing is, I'm pretty sure it was before her, actually, that there was a situation where a guy, a previous bachelor, had relations with one of the girls before fantasy suites as well. And it was not the most controversial season ever then.
Nope.
So it's like,
it sure wasn't.
And it's like, the only thing that bothers me is that it's one thing for people outside to like say things like that, whatever, you can't control it. But when you are spinning the story, when you're putting the story on display, when you're ABC and you are portraying the story and the things that you say matter, so they need to be like portraying it in a different way.
They need to practice
because
what they
they're
preach.
feeding into it by agreeing with people like, oh yeah, this is so controversial, this, that, and the other. It's like you're feeding into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're spinning the narrative that allows people to say the things they say.
Yep. They add what is it?
They like add fuel to the fire.
Fuel to the fire. Mm-hmm.
So I would have liked to see them stop doing that.
It's funny because they do have 2 kids. And when she was on her season and she was talking about what she wanted to marry someone who she can see herself with him, aging with him, having kids with him, having grandkids with him. And she said, I'm going to have a boy and a girl. And she did. She had a boy and a girl.
She does. She has a boy and a girl.
She has a rich man family.
They're still just as in love as ever. He's being trained in another station right now, so he got to pop up on the screen and surprise her, and it was really cute. She was crying.
Yeah,
and I was
the
like,
Denver Fire Academy.
Yeah, that shows you just that they're still
they're still in love.
Still just as in love as they were before, and their season was like, what, 15 years ago, something like that? I think he said 18 years.
If I'm not mistaken.
He said like 18 years ago when he was talking about her season. Yeah, 18 years, still going strong.
Yep.
And she was the first Bachelorette ever.
And to get married on
and the first
TV.
one to be married as well.
On live TV.
Yep.
So when they show Ryan, I was like, man, he aged. He does not look.
I didn't think he looked bad.
He aged.
Everybody aged.
I mean, he aged.
I feel like when this,
and I'm like, where was he in a sweat?
I know he was like super sweaty.
He was like super sweaty, and he's talking
training.
about he couldn't sleep. No, it was like he was. They're like, well, thank you for staying up, and he's like, oh, I couldn't sleep if I didn't do this. I'm like, so you were getting ready to sleep? Why are you so sweaty? Like, there's no AC. There's nothing there. It's like,
isn't he in a station? I don't know how that stuff works. When they do the firefighter training, is pretty intense.
Of course.
Extremely intense.
Yeah, but he was supposed to be relaxing.
Yeah.
Getting ready for bed. Why are you so sweaty?
I don't know.
I'm like,
maybe he has really oily skin.
And then he said
sometimes in the wrong lighting and everything and the wrong camera, you look really oily.
No, honey, he was not oily. He was sweating.
Well, he could be sweating and oily.
I was like, oh, is he sweating?
He's training. He's working hard. He's saving lives.
Yes, thank you for serving the Denver Fire Academy.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
That was the end of the recap for the first ever Bachelorette. And then they went into that. The next recap is going to be on Brad Womack, who had not one but 2 seasons of The Bachelor. Because when a guy goes through a season of The Bachelor and picks neither of the girls, you got to give him a second chance, right?
No.
Like, what? I'm so mad. It's bad enough that you allowed it to happen the first time. Now you got to let us relive it. Like,
the same guy.
Why? I don't know. I feel like there's so many better seasons they could have chosen. I still want to see, and they have to go over Juan Pablo's season.
Seriously.
Because Claire, the new Bachelorette, was from his season. So I would like to see, like, I never watched his season when it aired, but I know he was like one of the most controversial Bachelorettes ever because he did so many, he said so many bad things to the women and was just like overall a jerk.
If anyone saw him on Paradise, they would know how he is. He's a jerk.
He wasn't on Paradise.
Yes, he was.
No.
Juan Pablo.
No, he wasn't. Juan Pablo. He was the Bachelor. He picked a girl, and then I don't know if he's still with her or not. He might be. I'm not sure. The last thing I checked, I don't know if he's still with her, if he's not with her, whatever.
I know who
you're thinking of somebody different.
Yes. Okay, so Juan Pablo, he didn't pick a girl.
He didn't pick. His final 2 was Claire and somebody else.
He didn't pick any.
He did. His final 2 was Claire and another girl. And Claire went to the finale and he told her that he wasn't picking her. And then they showed like a brief clip where she turned away from him and she was like, you know what? I would never want a man like you being the father to my children. Yes. And then she left. And then he was like, oh, dodged a bullet with that one. And I was like, oh my God, this guy. But he did pick a girl and he didn't propose to her. And he didn't even tell her he loved her. He was just like, I like you like a lot. Like I like a lot. So like, I just want to be with you, but I'm not going to get proposed to you. So he didn't propose to her. He was just like, he didn't even say he loved her. He was just like, I like you. I like you a lot. And he said to one of the girls after the fantasy suite, one of the girls said that he told her that he really enjoyed bleeping her in the fantasy suite.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the girl said she was like mortified.
Well, he was, first off, if he was talking like that the whole entire time.
The point is he was an
You think
a-hole.
I would give him a time in the fan? I would have told him, please don't give me a rose. I'm not going to take your rose. I'm going home.
I don't know. He was like an a-hole the whole time. So they have to go over his season. And also they had to go
twice.
Over it. One, because he was like the worst bachelor ever, or one of the worst bachelors ever. And second, they have to do it because Claire is the new bachelorette. So they have to show like her roots,
maybe
where
it's
she
the
came
last
from.
One. Maybe it'll be the last week.
Maybe they'll save it for last.
Maybe.
Hopefully they don't interview Juan Pablo and give him the opportunity to talk.
Why not?
Because
don't you want to hear what he's doing now?
Maybe not really.
Maybe being on The Bachelor,
unless he 360'd and is a completely different person.
Maybe being on The Bachelor changed him.
If he 360'd, let's say the best case scenario, he 360'd and he's like a completely different person now. You know what? Yeah, I would love to hear him sit there and talk about how he looked back and regrets all the stuff that he did and how he's a different person and actually show that he's changed. But if he's going to get up and they're going to interview him and he's going to sit there and be the same guy that he was when he filmed that season, no, he doesn't deserve the airtime. Give the airtime to the women who were wronged by him. I would like to hear from them and hear how they're thriving. I don't want to hear about him unless
he's
in the rare
changed.
circumstance.
What if he married the girl?
Completely different person.
What if he married the girl that he picked? What if they have kids? Don't you want to hear? I want to hear.
Again, I don't want to hear unless he's literally a different person and unless he's going to come on and apologize for everything he did and regret and actually be genuine. I don't want to hear him. No offense.
Well, we're not going to know unless they bring him on.
Right? No offense.
Well, at least if they do bring him on, at least they were able to find him. They can't even find Alex. Alex is MIA.
Yeah,
so
what was that about?
If you're out there somewhere, Bachelor's looking for you.
Yeah. You gotta give a little a recap on where you're at in your life.
Seriously.
You gotta see what happened.
Well, at least let me tell you, Juan Pablo may have been a jerk, an ass. He may not have known how to speak, or he spoke. But what's worse, the ones that treat you nice and give you sweet words, but still treat you like a jerk and treat you like an object, but with sweet words.
They're both
I'd rather somebody be straight out.
They're both equally as bad.
Yeah, but you never know with the charmer.
They're both equally as bad.
He wasn't trying to charm anybody. He was trying to pick the wife.
I had to watch his season to see what happened because I'm like, I'm pretty sure that
he's like, if anybody can put up with this, they're the ones for me.
I don't think that I find it hard to believe that women would give him the time of day if he was truly an a-hole in and out. Like
exactly. There must have been something.
There had to be. I'm sure there was probably a part of him that was like really like sweet and nice and everything. And then after he got what he wanted, he was just like, oh, whatever.
Well, maybe he felt. I don't know. You know, there's some guys. I don't know. There's some guys that when a girl is so easy, that when a girl is so easy and just does everything on the same date. On the first date, you know, and there's like no surprise, no nothing.
Okay, well, again, this is where the double standard is being fed into.
No,
the woman may do it on the first date, but so did he. So what does that say about him as a person?
No, maybe she went further than what other girls would do.
But if he still did it with her, he is just as bad. He is just as much of a floozy. Like that makes him as bad of a person. So when a girl decides that she wants to give it all on the first date to a guy, the girl is the floozy. Nothing is looked bad on the guy.
I'm not saying she is. I'm saying maybe that's what he thought of her.
And it makes him even worse. Give me another reason not to like him.
But that's what I'm saying. He's probably thinking, oh, she gave it up too fast to me. She did everything on that night. What do I need her? Or, you know, she just gave it all to me. There's no more mystery. There's no more exploring. I already explored everything that night. So thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna
thank you and move on. You're not getting the rose.
I was gonna say that he looks like he's the kind of guy who would
Yeah.
do it on the first date and then be like,
thank
what
you.
if Lizzie?
He's probably that kind of guy that likes the chase. He's probably the kind of guy that likes the chase, and then once he gets it, that's it. He's done.
I don't know.
Chase is over.
Who picked him to be the Bachelor and why?
There's women like that too. There's women who, if a guy gives it up the first night, they don't want to see them again.
That's true.
So just because they're on a Bachelor setting doesn't mean it doesn't go the same way. That was a one night stand.
Yeah. Well, probably enough ranting about that, about a season recap. We don't even know what's happening yet, but I'm already heated. So you know what to expect if the
they do show it.
If they do a Juan Pablo recap,
That's gonna be a debated one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be rared up for that one. That's like a precursor to the episode.
Especially if he comes on for the catch up and be like the same person.
Yeah, we'll see. Either my opinion will change or my opinion will remain the same.
Well, at least his viewing would be better than Cassie's or Cassie and Colton.
Oh.
She
didn't say nothing. She said nothing.
It was wasted time.
Yeah, I was like, really?
I could have fast forward through.
It was like, what, 2 minutes? If
fast forward.
It was 2 minutes for her to just sit there and try to look
like
pretty.
A Kardashian. Right? She's like, my makeup look good. I look like a Kardashian. I need to do my 2 minutes. Sorry, I can't talk about my relationship. Sorry.
Right? And after that, she was like, just looking at her social blade, see how much followers she got from that. I don't know. Anyways.
Follow my
whatever. To each your own. I have nothing against her as a person. She seems kind. She seems nice. She seems sweet. But I'm still going to say that her showing up on the episode was just to get more followers or something, or just to still get that TV
fine.
time.
She seems sweet. She seems self-absorbed.
I never said she seems self-absorbed.
That's my opinion.
I mean, anybody who does social media is a little self-absorbed.
Please. She's like, I ain't talking about you, Colton. I promise.
I ain't talking about you. She's too pretty for him.
If they bring you up, I'm going to say nothing. I was like, what is she scared of him? What did he do? Threaten her?
I don't know. Maybe she has second thoughts.
We'll never have our little secret getaways if you talk about our breakup. No, I need you. I need you, Colton. I need you.
Maybe she has second thoughts after he dyed his hair blonde, and she was like, this is not what I agreed to.
Wasted
She's like, not what I agreed to. Now our hair colors match. I can't.
2 minutes of our life we're never getting back.
Oh my God. Remember she had talked about how he had COVID. He was one of the first people who had at least one of the first, like, I was gonna say rich people, like famous people.
And then Chris
had COVID,
trying to pull out of her what broke you guys up. So
right?
he's like, no. So that's what broke you guys up. No, that actually brought us closer together.
Well,
no, it didn't, because you're not together.
Right? Then he tried to say, so it's more of a friendship. And then she was like,
Cassie.
Like, right? He was trying to get to it.
Yeah, he was trying to pull it.
Oh, so it was just more of a friendship.
She's like, I'm sorry, Chris. I just don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I was
Due to the respect to Colton. Oh, you just don't want to mess anything up with Colton. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I don't want to make him mad,
No, he has more things to say about me than I have about him. And if I start talking about him, that's going to give him the option to talk about me.
Yeah.
And there's way worse things to talk about me. That's how it seems. It's like, it ain't respect, honey. He has more to say about you than you would ever have to say about him.
The thing, I don't think that he does, though. That's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he does. Sure. I really don't. I truly don't. I'm not just saying that to be BS.
I'm sure they made a deal. You don't talk about
her.
You don't talk about me. I don't talk about you.
He was obsessed with her.
So
he was obsessed with her.
It looks like she's scared of him.
He was literally obsessed with her.
I think they did an agreement, or I don't know. She probably didn't want to talk about it because it's too emotional for her, or there's something else going on. I don't know.
Cassie, blink your eyes twice if you need help.
Is he sitting there?
Blink your eyes 3 times.
If he's sitting there.
If he's sitting behind the camera threatening you to not talk.
Seriously.
I'm just kidding. I don't know.
She was like, he's like, well, you do look nervous. She's like, oh man, if I look nervous, that's not good. That's not really good.
nervous? What are you talking about? Like, this is how I'm talking. I don't look nervous. What do you mean? I look nervous? Next question. Everything's good. I'm not talking about Colton.
Colton was like, you're going to go on there because I don't want them thinking anything. So you're going to go on there and you're just not going to talk about us, okay?
Okay.
Okay, Colton, anything you want, sweetie.
It's all good. It's okay.
That's not funny.
Oh, Chris, what? Colton is great. What? We got closer together. What are you talking about? Just friends?
But you broke up.
No, it was great.
We broke up on good terms.
I had nothing to say. We're good terms. We're friends.
We broke up on good terms. So I just want to respect him and not talk about the breakup. All right. All jokes aside, I mean, like, if you're really being abused out there, you should not be taking it. Get help because it just gets worse. It doesn't get better. So that's just, us joking on the side, but we don't condone violence and
I'm not
especially abuse.
Yeah, and we're not insinuating that Colton
that she's being abused.
Her. No. That's important to say.
It was just funny how the recap, but just putting it out there. We're not saying.
I didn't think you saw it a whole different way. I did not think at all anything on the terms.
But that's
of
my
like,
mind. I'm like, why is she so nervous?
Didn't think that
Why
I was just like, maybe she just don't want to talk. I don't know.
know.
Maybe
Sitting there looking like a Kardashian.
It's like when celebrities have big breakups and then they go into an interview and they're like, you do not bring up the breakup. Yes. Ask them about their charity work, but do not talk about the breakup. And then the reporter starts to talk about, like, to inch towards the breakup, and they're like, what are you talking about? Cut the interview. This is not what we agreed to.
Exactly.
Anyways, I don't know how we got back to talking about Cassie, but. So that was the end. The next recap is going to be Brad Womack. Apparently, we have a week gap.
Yes.
Between this one and the next one. So next week, we will not be doing a Bachelor recap because there will not be a Bachelor episode to recap. We'll be doing something else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what it is, but if you guys have any suggestions, if there's anything that you would like us to talk about, if there's any show that you want us to recap maybe or talk about that you're seeing that you would like to hear us talk about, we are open to all and any suggestions that you may have. So you can leave a comment below. If you're on YouTube, you can leave a comment in the comment section. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review. If you are listening on any other platform, there is a link to Anchor where you can send us like a voice message or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you. And we just want to say thank you again for listening. And we hope that you're staying safe and that you're happy and healthy and that you're manifesting all your desires out of life.
That's right. Amen.